welcome to the final show of WrestleMania weekend for us. It's been a long weekend. It's been a long 2 nights. WWE is making these 4-hour shows really drag out. But you know what? I think everybody's in a happy mood tonight. First, I want to welcome our guests. Of course, we got Mark Talks Wrestling. He's back again. We've seen him. We all know who he is. But we have the wonderful Queen Stephanie Hardy from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast joining us. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us this WrestleMania weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to talk about this amazing pay-per-view that we just witnessed. Like, WrestleMania is like my favorite time of the year. So I'm just really excited to come on and talk about it.
So at what point did we all lose it? Because I know all of us cried. I lost it with Samantha Irvin. I was good until she tried to choke out and new world undisputed champion, and she just completely lost it. That's where I lost it. Steph Hardy, when did you lose it?
I lost it when Cody started hugging Michael Cole.
Yep.
Like, when he started hugging Michael Cole, that was like level 2. But really, level 1 was when he gave the title to his mom. Yeah. Like, that really did it for me, because I was just like, he just kept saying in that promo when he was interviewing with Michael Cole, like, I want to give this title to my mom because I can't give it to my dad. And that's just the realness of the situation. So the idea that he was able to actually win it and beat the unbeatable odds and then give that title to his mom, you know, in the place of not being able to give it to Dusty, was just a beautiful thing. And I'm just so happy that that happened. And I'm just really grateful and just really glad that the Roman Empire has been toppled. So yeah, that's basically where I lost it.
Bobby, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, with his mom for sure, but also the fact that he got to have Brandy out there and his whole family in general and stuff like that. It's just that touching moment that he's finally accomplished that one thing. And then even the moments where Cody's looking down into the belt and looking back up to the sky, and you know that at that moment he knows his dad's looking down on him and everything like that. And that it really gets to you as a wrestling fan when you see those magical moments. That's what WrestleMania main events and moments were made for, was that good feeling at the final night of WrestleMania. And that's what we got tonight in, excellent form.
Mark?
Well, I cried yesterday when I saw Gunther lose. That was the first time I cried.
We're not talking about Gunther today.
No,
I'm sorry.
But I think when I heard the 3 count, I got welled up. But then when I saw the referee hand him the belt, and he just sat there with it in his arms, just staring at it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, that's me gone. That's me fully gone now.
And then -1, like, we can't forget about Brody Jr. -1, coming in the ring, getting a big hug at one point. I wish Amanda wouldn't stay away from ringside on these things. Like, I know why she does, and I get it. But it would have been nice to see her get in there too. Knowing she's taking pictures with Teal and everything beforehand, I just wish she'd get in there, but I understand. Not everybody can just go into the ring. Oh, is Dustin there? I hadn't seen.
Yeah, I saw a picture. I saw a picture earlier today on Twitter. Like, he was there.
I was hoping he was somewhere there at least anyway, despite maybe being able to bring him out.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep just talking about the main event first, and then we can go back to the start and, start from there?
All right. By me.
So Cody Rhodes, as we've all talked about already, finishes the story. He wins the undisputed Universal WWE Championship, which will now apparently be dropping the Universal from this title belt. So the rumors have been for months is that the Universal was strictly there because that's the lineage that the 1300 days is attached to. So they couldn't get rid of that. But at the end of all of this, they want to have the WWE title lineage at the end of the day because the Universal title lineage is very small. They don't want to lose that. So with the merged belt, supposedly, we should be getting just the WWE Championship back. Stephanie, what was your thoughts on the match as a whole?
The match as a whole was really good for me. I've kept trying to sort of replay in my mind how the first one went in comparison to this one while it was happening. And there were a number of similarities while also seeing a big number of differences as well, especially when it came to the demeanor of Roman throughout. Like, of course, Roman was locked in and focused for the first match, but it felt like with this one, it was definitely like a callback character-wise and also in action-wise to how he used to act towards the pandemic era, where he would just beat up on people constantly and talk all kinds of trash. Like, it just felt like a huge callback to what he used to do. And I was just like, man, like, this is really crazy. He really thinks he's going to run through him tonight. And it was really good. But then Cody just kept fighting out. And you can tell, like, his whole body was just like, look, I'm not going to fall to the same mistakes that I did last time. And I greatly appreciated it. And then when you have all of the purposeful people coming in to help Cody after the bloodline was trying to come in and save Roman, it was just the most amazing thing I had ever seen. Just, I didn't expect The Undertaker to pop up. I didn't expect John Cena to, but it made sense considering him and Solo's history. And of course, Jay came in and beat up on Jimmy because, of course, he's the superior twin. So it was just the most amazing thing with the way it ended. And I'm just so glad that Cody is our champion now because he has a champion's heart. He's shown us that he has the spirit of a champion by interacting with the people and just being who he is and being passionate about the sport. So now he just has a crown attached to it, and it just feels really good, and it feels warm, and it just doesn't feel like, oh, well, we're just gonna wash and repeat the same thing now. So we have a bunch of new stories to tell now that Cody has finished his, so I'm really glad.
Mark. Good morning, Barry. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. STG, we see you in the comments too. Thank you for popping in.
For me, it was the biggest emotional roller coaster I've sat through in a very long time. And there were times in there where when Solo come out and hit the spike and then they did the spike and the spear, and I've sat there going, oh, they've done it again. They've actually done it again. They're not going to do it, are they? This is the time that I acknowledge my tribal chief, but my tribal chief needs to have a bit of a break from having the championship and go and do something else. We've seen the same ways it was the way that he'd done his title reign and to do it and to go through it. And then watching the Avengers assemble, as we've now called it, with Jay coming out. And I do think that they missed a table or they didn't cleanly get that table when they jump off the stage. So that's going to hurt.
They missed the first one.
Yeah, and then John Cena come out, and I was like, yeah, I could see that coming. That was a good one. And then I was expecting when The Rock to come out, it was either going to be someone new and fresh, or it was going to be Stone Cold. Those were the two people I was expecting. And then The Undertaker come out, and I was not expecting that. And I was thinking to myself, is it because Undertaker, WrestleMania, that's his show, that's his yard. You don't mess with The Undertaker's yard. And that was what they were trying to do. But then I was thinking, Cody Rhodes, when he was in WWE to start off with, has always said that The Undertaker really helped him when he first got into WWE for the first time, and sort of took him under his wing and brought him through until he left, and still talked to him when he was out of WWE, that I thought, okay, there is a personal connection there. It's not too far-fetched, and there is a personal connection there. And then the Rock disappeared and then somehow reappeared at the end. He went to hell and then found the door to get back out of it within about 20 minutes. But the one thing I will say is the match, people will say it is overly booked. It was chaotic, but by God, did it need it? Because the way that it was starting the match and the way it was going, it was the same repeat from WrestleMania Night 1, from last year, from last year's WrestleMania. And for it to come out and everyone there, just poetic justice, I think, in the end.
Bobby?
Yeah, and it not much else I can add on. It was extremely overbooked, a little too overbooked, but it's WrestleMania. Let's not kid ourselves. This was going to happen. This was a Roman Reigns match. It was going to happen. It was very, very strong. In terms of a wrestling match, when you look at the pure wrestling portion of it, these two had it going on. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands with a "This is awesome" chant long before any overbooking and bringing out any of the big names from the past. They had the crowd absolutely captivated. And that's a testament to a true great main event matchup. And that's exactly what we got from these two. And it came with that moment as well. So it all equaled up to something very, very special that I feel we haven't necessarily had properly in some ways with, the guys' main events in the last several years of WrestleMania. But this one nailed it. This one will live on in memory. This will be one we talk about for years to come this time around.
Yeah, we've got wonderful people in the chat. Doltree popping in is a new name that I haven't seen in a while. So
That's
thank you for popping in.
Personal friend of mine.
Oh, okay, there we go. I personally wanted to see the Bloodline turn on Roman. Would have been huge. I think there's still more story to tell when it comes to the Bloodline. So I think we can put a pin in that one for a little bit, but there's more story to tell. SCG, we knew it was going to be overbooked, but I loved it for what it was. However, I was hoping for an ending that wouldn't add more build to Rock versus Roman, but we didn't get it. We didn't necessarily get that. Talking about the Undertaker's involvement. The Undertaker's involvement, I was just thinking when Mark was talking about, how he helped him a lot. In Cody's first Royal Rumble, Cody tells the story of kicking the Undertaker in the back of the head, and Undertaker just looking at him and going, "Do it again. Hit me again." And Undertaker talked him through the spots because Cody had no clue what to do after the first 10 seconds that he was in the ring, and he was face to face with the Undertaker.
Because he wasn't meant to do that, was he? There was no way of them telling him to do it, and he just went, the Undertaker stood over there, I'm going to hit him. And then the Undertaker then sold for him, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. That's a cool story.
We have our local establishment good friend Lauren Goodnight jumping in saying, I heard the Shield theme and had a moment, and then it was just set. It was just set like Ken and Barbie.
That's crazy. I thought it was John Moxley myself, and I was about to lose it if it was him. I was like, wait, did they get Seth and John? What? But then it was just Seth, and then he got kicked, and I was like, oh.
This isn't something I want all the time, but you know what? It ended a great story, and we know going forward, these aren't going to be Cody's style of matches. We're going to get back to traditional wrestling matches going forward for these championships. And I think that's the overlining good thing, and I think in my mind is we're getting back to a little tradition. Michael Cole said it best as they're getting ready to leave the show. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Corey Graves all said two particular words which have been banned for years and are now being allowed to be spoken on the air again: professional wrestling. This match is why professional wrestling is the greatest thing on the earth. Professional wrestling has a way to make you feel, whether it's good, bad, happy, sad. You learn how to deal with emotions by watching wrestling. Wrestling fans have dealt with emotions over fictional, real people for so long that it's taught us how to deal with reality. And I just think that it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here with Cody, because the story's over, but now we got to start book 2.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, will Cody be a long-term champion or maybe 6 months tops? Lots of stories to be told now. I would love if Cody is a short-term champion, not transitional, but if Cody holds the belt to SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and then we start moving this belt around a little bit. I wouldn't mind a little hot potato.
I reckon he will lose that at Germany.
Oh, wow.
To the
To Ilya Dragunov? To Ilya Dragunov.
No, to the Ring General. Thank you very much. The greatest professional wrestler in the world. The Ring General.
No, that's Cody. That's Cody. We just watched the greatest professional wrestler in the world.
No. the Ring General was watching on, knowing that he could destroy everyone in that ring.
Yeah, is that why he lost his championship last night?
He got cheated. He got cheated.
By what? His overconfidence?
Yes. I couldn't really. I said cheated, and then I didn't know where I was going with it. So
you didn't, did you?
No. Oh my god!
And Mark, that's why you're the tutorial boss. Oh, can we throw up Basser's comment again one more time?
We sure can. And hello, Basser. Said, watched Mania with my son and absolutely was crying man tears. And I think he saw and knew what was up. Just love this shit.
It's just there's so much good stuff coming from this. You know what? I'm gonna get us in trouble. Hold on. I want to pull something up on Twitter.
I know exactly what you're pulling up.
Yeah, I already showed it. I already showed it to us in the room, but I'm gonna show it again because we talk about why we love professional wrestling, and in my mind, there's one man who personifies why we love professional wrestling.
Yeah,
Victor Taylor Perry, the Wrestling Club, who, by the way, was brought to WrestleMania via Cody Rhodes. And this is the wonderful reaction from the Wrestling Club. Victor posted another tweet, and I want to bring it right here. Last year, the Wrestling Club began to cry and express their frustrations around Cody's loss at WrestleMania. I spent 30 minutes after the event ended in the stadium trying to comfort them. This year, the Wrestling Club is screaming and crying not because Cody lost, but because of his monumental win.
Yeah.
This is why professional wrestling is awesome.
Yeah.
These are the reasons why professional. I know. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Can I get a bit personal? Can I get a bit personal? We're going with emotions, and we're doing this. So some of you may or may not know I have 2 children. My daughter, who is 7, turning 18, and I have my son, who is 4 years of age. And if you don't know anything about me personally, my son is a non-verbal autistic. And he struggles with everyday life. Everything's a monumental fight for him every single day, trying to do things. He has no sense of danger. When I saw Cody Rhodes' story, and especially with my daughter as well, I always worry, as I have a daughter, and the women in this world don't get treated as well as everyone else. And when I see Cody Rhodes' story, the way he had to fight through adversity, and he had to fight and claw and scratch and pull and do everything he possibly can to get to what he needed to, it tells me that I can show this to my kids and go, look at what happened today. Yes, it was overly booked, but you can turn that into your children and go, look, there will be people there, friends, family, that will fight for you, and they will be there for you to the end. And when that 3 count hit and he won that title and he held that title in his hands, instantly I've gone, no matter what happens in life, there will be people there with you, people there for you, and you will fight through adversity together. And that's why I think when I saw that video, I've seen that video twice now, and you've made me well up twice watching that video. Is because it resonates so much, seeing those kids and seeing the enjoyment of wrestling. You don't get that with sport. You don't get that with majority of sport. So with that today, that the feelings got hit, personal life, all of it come out at one, and it was just, I've loved that. I loved it. Even though The Rock got beaten up, which I still acknowledge my final boss. But apart from that, it was just absolutely incredible and amazing, and I loved it. Sorry about getting personal there. I just had to say it.
All good, Mark.
It's what we're here for. Post-match, we have the celebration of a lifetime. We've got Cody, we got Seth, we've got Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Jey Uso. He then ends up bringing in his mom. He brings in his sister. He brings in Brody Jr., -1. He brings in more family that I didn't recognize, but obviously more family. Nick Khan, I don't know if anybody else noticed it. Nick Khan in the front row on the ramp.
Yeah.
Very happy and clapping. Then, after getting the microphone and saying a few words, he brings out Bruce Pritchard and Triple H, announcing this beginning of the Triple H era. They both come out. Triple H has a moment with Cody. That was really sweet. Michael Cole tells a story about tag teaming with Cody Rhodes. He talks about how he's watched this kid grow up, about how he was one of those people that was in WWE when they heard Cody inducting his dad into the Hall of Fame, and they knew that at that point he was going to be a superstar. And how long of a road this is for Michael Cole. It was beautiful to see Cody go out there and just walk up and give him a hug.
Mm. Did you
Michael
not find that was a theme, though, with Triple H? This was a theme for this weekend. I don't know whether this was planned by TKO or this was something that Triple H wanted to do, but they really threw at home that Triple H has full control. Stephanie, are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
I can see you. I'm just checking to see if you're all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just thinking about things, and there's just a lot of stuff running through my mind. Like, I remember that speech he gave at the Hall of Fame when he was talking about his dad. And I'm a person where I'm an empath, so if I see someone crying, I start crying and I can feel their emotion. So seeing him when he was that young, of course, watching the Hall of Fame, then I didn't even know that Dusty had another son outside of Goldust. So the fact that Cody was there and he was speaking so eloquently about how much his dad meant to him even then was just so palpable. Like him just looking at his dad, he just welled up and started crying. So it's just kind of like where it's like you want to grow up and you want to make your parents proud. You want to, or at least I know in my case, I want to make my parents proud and stuff, with the stuff that I do. And it's just really amazing that he's been able to do this, even though it's in a way that he might not have wanted it to be in the most ideal of circumstances, but it's just the most beautiful thing ever. And it's just really great. I haven't felt this type of emotion for a person winning a title since Kofi Mania. So, and that one had me like on the floor in tears. So it was this is just a really great moment right now, and those children really bring it home for me because I love Victor and those kids so much because I've met some of them before in New York, and the idea that Cody was the fact that he wasn't even champion yet and he paid their way to go as he saw them raising money. Like, you just don't get any sweeter and any more loving than that. And I feel like that can be missing in us as humans because, of course, life can be hard and stuff, and wrestling can be hard. But when you see kindness like that, it just lets you know that, love does belong in wrestling. And I'm so happy.
Yeah. Michael Cole this weekend, I think, Bassett put it, like getting an absolute legend, getting his flowers while he's still on duty.
Yeah.
This weekend reminds us of how good Michael Cole can be. We talked about this last night with Tony on from Get the Tables. Without Vince McMahon's presence in Cole's ear, there's a different energy. There's a different level of greatness that Michael Cole can achieve.
Yeah. And
it's just so great to see him coming through this. The way he was laughing it off when Rock put the t-shirt on his head at WWE World. Like there's him breaking kayfabe to cheer for Bayley as she was going for her championship. This man was perfection tonight. And there's no other announcer I'd want to have, running my play-by-play than Michael Cole right now.
Can someone please hug Stephanie? Can someone anywhere in the vicinity? Can someone please hug her?
You're okay. You're okay.
Don't worry about it. I need to book a quick flight. How do I get over there? This woman needs a hug.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
You just started talking about Michael Cole, and he was really like the voice of our childhood, like in my childhood, like him and Taz were everything. So just even thinking about that just makes me want to cry. Like, dang, I'm sorry. This is just a lot. Okay.
Let's try to move on to something that might not make people cry.
In other words,
McMahon.
No, it's a happy cry. It's a happy cry. I'm sorry. I
Tears
did
of
not
joy
come
are a
on here
wonderful
with the
thing.
intention to feel all of these feelings. I did not. It's just, it's just really bringing all these feelings about it out. I'm sorry, but yeah,
that's what professional wrestling's about: bringing out feelings and emotion. This is what the people don't understand about the wrestling business is that it's more than just people play fighting in their underpants. There's more to it than that.
Such a great way to say it as well. It's like,
right.
but brilliant way of saying it.
But think about it. That's what people who don't understand what professional wrestling means thinks it is. They think it's people fake fighting in front of a bunch of people in their underpants. And there's no, there's more to it. And I used to call it a male soap opera because I'm a guy and it was one of the ways that I could be women enjoy their soap operas. And, for the men, this is an aggressive soap opera. But I've realized it's not a male soap opera. It's just a soap opera. It's an action movie soap opera. And it's fantastic. And it's the greatest thing this world has ever created. And I don't want to live in a world without it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll go back to your Michael Cole thing quickly.
Yeah.
But ever since he got Pat back, and ever since he got Corey Graves as well by his side, he's so relaxed, and you could just see now he's one of those. The Rock come back or Roman Reigns says he doesn't need to do this anymore. Like they say, I don't need to do this anymore. I've done what I needed to do. I don't need to do this. And it's like with him as well. He doesn't need to do this anymore. He's only missed, 3 shows now in the 27 years that he's been a part of WWE. For a man to only miss that little and now having fun with his friends by his side, just amazing. Amazing, man. He is. And this is going to sound wrong, and I don't want this to come out wrong, and I think also what helped as well is he wasn't in the shadow of JR anymore. After JR left, he picked up. And then Vince McMahon left and then got to another level. It just seems whoever stands in his way, he has a level. But as soon as that that wall that's blocking him is moved or knocked down, he goes up a notch. And he deserves so much more praise than what he gets.
Just want to give a shout out to STG in the chat for going ahead and gifting a sub to Barry Monkey, one of our favorites, and also subscribing themselves at tier 1. So thank you for supporting us. We greatly appreciate it. Enjoy not having any ads, because that is the reason. He literally says, I got sick of ads. This is a good talk. We'll come back to Cody. We'll come back to Michael Cole later on if we have time. But let's go back to the beginning of the show. Now that we've talked about the end, let's go back to where it started. Stephanie McMahon graced us with her presence. Fantastic to see her again. With everything that happened on her being brought in to run the company, and then everything that happened where she got removed or stepped down or however that garbage happened. And now having her back out here, feeling happy, looking fantastic. Just great to see her back out there, stealing her husband's lines and doing the Are You Readies. It was great. I was happy. Did everybody else enjoy this? Any thoughts from anybody else about it?
I love that woman. Do you know what, right? That she has gone through so much crap because of one man. And she's going to go through more crap because of that man. Because of all the law. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I don't want to get sued. So if anyone's watching anything like that, I'm going to say allegedly allegedly what this man has done. And now the people are going to start dragging the McMahon name through it. There's one bad, maybe two. There's one main bad guy. Do not put that on the children that have to deal with his bollocks. So to see her come out, we saw her at the Hall of Fame. It was great to see her there wearing the ECW hat for Paul Heyman and doing all of that type of thing. And then seeing her come out, I was so happy to see her. And I hope this means that she's back. And I hope this means that she's there because I know the women's division, they loved her when she was there and when she was looking after it and doing stuff. I hope that means she's back. If not, just see her every so often, but seeing her back, oh man, loved it.
It was an unexpected way to kick off the event, but in a positive light because came out to a sea of cheers. Everybody was excited. Got things started off well. Steph is great on a microphone and really wowed that crowd really to get things motivated and started up. And it was fantastic to see the positivity coming out of this WrestleMania, including moments like that. It might have been a smaller moment, but it was still a big moment in the collective, especially in night two. Night two felt like it felt bigger and it felt like it had a flow to it that went so well. And it was moments like this that came in and really helped bring it all together to make it feel like a really solid WrestleMania.
Stephanie?
Yeah. I talk about a lot how I miss Stephanie McMahon. Like I talk about it like with my friends online. And here again, back to my childhood, she was just always there as a presence, whether it was, with Triple H as her on-screen husband / real life husband, or just when she was an authority figure. Like she was really like the first full on like female character that I saw in charge of something. And so the idea of her being gone for such a long period of time, I understand because of course there are things that you have to do to take care of yourself and your mind, especially when you're going through something so public and so crazy that involves people who you're close to. So I understand why, to a degree, why she did what she did, but I did always miss her because she was just always, cool to me, and also for obvious reasons, we have the same name. So it was just always amazing to see her in that regard. So the idea that she popped back up was just a great surprise. I was just like, yo, this is cool. And then she comes out there with a new song, like a newer version of her older song. And I was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. What I was just super excited to see her. Like she looks amazing. She always looks beautiful. And then for her to intro it, the same way basically Triple H did yesterday, it was just like, okay, this is what we're doing. And it did feel good. And it felt like, she wants to be a part of the new regime. And I can appreciate that. She doesn't want she doesn't want her legacy to be defined by, past generations. And that's, something that we can all attest to. You want to break those generational curses. And I'm glad that that's something that in this way, whether she comes back more or not, I'm glad that even she was involved in this, because she's been in it for a long time. Like she said, like 40 years, like she was there from the first one all the way up until now. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like it just made sense. So I was glad to see her, and it was a breath of fresh air.
We then get Philadelphia's pipe and drum corps, I believe Michael Cole says it was, as Drew McIntyre comes out, not to Broken Dreams, unfortunately. Made me sad. I was hoping for Broken Dreams, but we didn't get it. But Drew McIntyre comes out with the Highlanders out there with their swords. It was fantastic. Seth Rollins, the diva himself, coming out with, I don't even remember the words that Michael Cole used to describe this, but it's the type of outfits and the way that Philadelphia looks on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. I know there's a specific word for it, but I don't know what the word was. I don't remember it.
I know what it is. So because I actually had a cab driver here in Philadelphia explain it to me. We were driving through, and it was the Philadelphia Mummers, and there's like this museum where they have sort of like a history of the Mummers, and I guess they were like a group of people or something. But every New Year's they have a festival where all the people sort of like be out in the street and they play music and dance around in the way that they did with Seth Rollins with the entrance. And that's just a part of the Philadelphia culture. So that's really what that was. It was a tribute to the New Year's culture that they have with the Mummers at the Mummers Museum. So when I saw it and they mentioned that, I was just like, oh my God, that's what that cab driver was talking about. So yeah, it was really amazing and colorful. And that's one of my favorite things too. I love color. So I was just like, this is amazing, and this is very Seth Rollins coded. I loved it.
I did love Michael Cole's jab at one point during this that it feels like it's out of NXT, talking about No Way Jose or Adam Rose with the rosebuds. I got that same kind of feel. All the different colorful outfits and like different things. I was like, it felt very rosebuds to me, and I was excited. It was a fun entrance. Seth Rollins, I give Seth 0 score on fashion because I'm the least fashionable person in the world. Mm-hmm. But I know lots of people enjoy Seth's fashion. So what do you guys want to give Seth as a fashion score for the attire for both nights?
I'll just give him 10 because I know, like yourself, I'm not really a fashion guy and I can't pull that shit off. So kudos to him. 10 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with a 9 because night one, whatever that blue thing on his jacket was, annoyed me. Annoyed me because he couldn't actually move his head because of that thing was there. That annoyed me. But night 2, it was just excellent. I did love CM Punk trying to be a heel, but you could tell he was laughing when he goes about Pavarotti, and I was like, "That's a brilliant line." I completely forgot about that. But I'll give it a 9 because of that first night with that blue thing on his shoulder annoyed me.
And Stephanie?
I'll give him a 9 for night 1 and a 10 for night 2 because I actually like the robe with the blue rose on it because it was just very extra, and I'm a very extra person myself, so I was like, that looks like something I probably would wear if I had the money. So yeah, like I liked it. And then 10 was just really cool and purposeful, and it paid tribute to a part of Philadelphia culture that not a lot of people know. So I thought that was amazing. So definitely 10 for tonight.
Barry Monkey jumping in when Seth came out last night. I thought he was auditioning for Eurovision.
Oh, wow.
But then we get the match with CM Punk on commentary between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Stephanie, I want you to go ahead and talk about your thoughts about this match. And we'll leave what happens after the match. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, this match was cool. Like, it came in really hot, though, because it's like, before Seth even had a chance to turn around, Drew was like, nope, Claymore, right now. And for a second, I was like, is this how this is going to go? But then when he kicked out, I was like, okay. And, Seth kept trying, but then, of course, they kept playing up the idea that he was essentially fighting after having fought at night one. And I was just like, okay. And he seemed like he was struggling a lot, throughout, but then he was still fighting through, and all those multiple curb stomps. And I was just like, he really did, promise the whole stomp and nothing but the stomp. Shout out to Kurt Franklin. And he just kept stomping on him over and over again. And I was just like, man, like, how is this gonna go? But it just really seemed like Drew McIntyre was really trying to make this, his moment. And I just thought it was really good. He was like, Drew McIntyre was like extra vicious this time in this go round. So I was here for it. I liked the match. And man, Drew really did make his dream come true for all of
5
minutes.
minutes and 48
5
seconds.
minutes. Yeah, for all of 5 minutes, he got to live his dream in front of people. And I was happy at first, but then he started talking all that trash. And then that's where it all went downhill. But yeah, we'll get to that.
Bobby, your thoughts on Drew versus Seth?
Yeah, it was a solid, fast-paced way to start the night, which is what they like to do. They like WrestleMania matches to kick off into high gear, really get the crowd pumped up for the rest of the show. So high energy, that's what it was. It also made that believability because the rumor was out there of the potential cash in that we'll talk about in a bit. It was out there, so they wanted you to believe that Drew was also going to be in a situation where he possibly could end up losing the matchup on behalf of the both of them. I really expected to see the heist happen again 10 years later. I thought Damian would cash in, making it a triple threat. That didn't happen, so they had already surprised me in that sense when Drew got the 3 count, and in such dominating fashion towards the end. They really made Drew look incredibly strong. And then the whole twist of things, it plays on a whole other level. So I like the way they kicked this off. This was good.
Yeah. I was going to say, we'll bring up Ophelia's comment in just a little while because it's something I noticed. Mark.
So I've always had an issue with Drew McIntyre. I think...
Is that because he's Scottish?
No, he actually, footballing terms, he supports the right side of Scotland, so that's fine. The issue I have with Drew McIntyre is he's very, very good talking, very good on a microphone, and what he's been doing, trying to get this new contract with coming with the social media and doing stuff like that. Excellent work. When he steps foot into that ring, I think he's becoming more and more one-dimensional, and he's not doing what I thought Drew McIntyre can do, and that's change it up. You can use the power, you can use the strength, you can do that. But when you're repeating the same moves over and over again, you're basically the Scottish Brock Lesnar. And that's what I've decided, what I found with him. In this match, it was the same. It was Drew McIntyre going with Claymore after Claymore, throwing Seth over his head, Claymore, throw Seth, Claymore. And that's basically how I felt with him doing it. And Drew McIntyre is brilliant. And I think Seth Rollins sold the hell out of that match to make Drew look strong and Drew look good. But at the end of the day, I didn't want him to win. I didn't want him to walk out of that stadium with the title. I think he's a better going for a title than he is holding it. That's my opinion. And to see what happened at the end, I was very happy with the ending.
To explain this to the gamers, somebody put on infinite finishers for both dudes and then just walked away from the controller, let the computer go. Because these guys were just finisher, super finisher. And you know what? Normally I would say that's a silly idea, that's dumb. However, there was a perfect storyline reason for this match to be exactly what it was. Drew knew that Seth couldn't go. So instead of wearing Seth down and wearing out the heart of Seth Rollins, it was stick the dagger in the chest, get it done as quickly as possible. This dude's hurt, hit him hard, hit him fast, and hit him with the best things I got, and just keep going until I win.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a brilliant idea for a match based on what we saw the night before. And it shows that both Seth and Drew are great storytellers. You don't need a 40-minute match to be able to tell a great story. Sometimes with the right story and the right movesets, you can tell a fantastic story in 10 minutes, which is what they did. They figured out that a finisher spam match works here because of the hatred that Drew has for Seth and the fact that he knows he has a wounded animal in front of him. And then we get to the post-match. And you know what? If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. When people talk that talk, they end up screwing themselves. And he got obsessed with CM Punk, and it cost him, just like it cost Gunther the night before.
Stop it! Stop it!
And he antagonized CM Punk too much, and Punk took off the brace and hit him in the head and beat the hell out of him. And then the Cody meme came to life for CM Punk as the Judgment Day's music hits, and Punk just turns his head to the stage and smiles. Damian Priest comes walking out. CM Punk throws Drew McIntyre back in the ring. Damian Priest catches in the contract, hits him with a South of Heaven. 1, 2, 3, and Drew McIntyre's reign lasts all of 5 minutes and 48 seconds. And Damian Priest is Senior World Heavyweight Champion. And I think, no, we're not going to have a special guest. I thought we were going to get a special guest to talk about Damian Priest, but apparently not.
No, just assuring that we get the essentials going across the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Just fantastic to see Damian Priest get this moment. I loved it as a fan of Damian Priest. I remember him as the weird, sex-obsessed club archer from NXT. Like his debut in NXT, the sex-obsessed club archer that he was. And I say that because when he won the North American Championship in NXT, they had him celebrating in a blow-up hot tub with 2 women. And that image is ingrained in my mind. But it was so great to see him win this title, to have Judgment Day with him there, and to see 2 world champions in Judgment Day. No more titles in Judgment Day other than the women's world champion and now the world heavyweight champion, Damian Priest. And we do have a special guest jumping in to talk about Damian Priest.
Oh
no, Bobby.
They're like,
Bobby.
No.
No, we got to do this.
There you go. I didn't mean to crash the party that we have here.
No.
But
It's okay. Seth
cool.
Rollins lost. Damian Priest won. There's only one person we need to hear from right now. Let's give her the big screen because she hates the big screen.
Oh no, not the big screen.
Talk about this for us.
Hold on, my thing from Becky's book is falling down. No, I'm still processing. I'm a mess, to be honest. Geez, I said it before that the night this happened was gonna have me be a mess. Having Rollins lose, but then have Damian cash in, like that's one of those things. Like I would lose it, and I cried when Seth lost it, and I was like, I had told my brother before the match even started. I said it's gonna be a squash, and Seth is gonna lose, and we're gonna get the cash in. And then when Drew hit the Claymore, and then he didn't get the 3 count, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a longer match. I have faith in both of them. Fine, the match happens. And I told my brother, well, cash is the only thing that will make this super more interesting than what it was. That's what it was already, because it was interesting. And then everything with Punk happened. I hear the music, and I literally just jumped out from my couch and started yelling and screaming. My heart was racing. I was crying. And I was like, please don't be a failed cash in, because I'm going to cry even harder. I scared my younger sister, who was leaning on me and cuddling with me as we were watching the pay-per-view. So I'm still like shaking a little bit. I cried like a little girl earlier. I can't believe he's the world champion now. I really can't. From Punishment Martinez to who he is now, I'm just so happy and proud to have a Puerto Rican world champion. I love it.
Ashley, would you say were you at here?
Oh no.
Or here? Or here?
I was that one. That one's accurate. Yeah, I couldn't hold it. It's been 50 years since we had a Puerto Rican world champion, so it was about time it happened.
I was gonna say the first time we've had a Puerto Rican world champion in the WrestleMania era of WWE.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it was last Pedro Morales, I believe, is the
Yeah.
lookup
Yep,
that we found.
that's what they said online. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was Pedro Morales.
Yeah. So I wish he would have been the first, but still, it's just amazing to see him having that moment because I was afraid he would be a field cash in and I was gonna get the time. I'm just laughing at him because I didn't want that for him at all. So to have him be this and just, I can't wait to that celebration tomorrow. I keep thinking Monday night but it's definitely tomorrow in a few minutes. But yeah, it means a lot to me to be able to watch it and just I have it bookmarked on Twitter so I can watch it all over again whenever I want because that was just amazing. And to be able to tell like people that I'm like close friends, I'm like, I was crying because of a wrestling match. It's just like, but why? And I was like, but this means a lot to me. I have a Puerto Rican world champion right now. So yeah, I'm excited for him. Give him a little bit of time. I don't want to say I have him be a transitional champion, but give him at least a couple months, please. That's all I ask for.
And by the way,
funny.
There's two champions for Puerto Rico though. We've
Oh
got Damian Priest and Logan Paul.
No, bye. Anyway, go ahead, Stephanie. What were you saying?
Yeah, and then when he won, and he was, celebrating with the Judgment Day, and he posed with the title the last time, he said, "Yo soy Boricua," and I was like, "Oh, yeah," because that was just like that was what I learned that from the backlash that they did last year, and how they were chanting that for Zelina, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing that he got to do that and say that on WrestleMania Day." Like, so that's really cool. I'm glad that you guys have that. That's amazing.
And if you haven't seen it yet, after the match, he's backstage with Triple H, and he thanks Triple H for believing in him, that this opportunity was possible solely because Triple H believed in him.
I'm trying to keep it together. But anyway, have fun, guys. You don't want to interrupt the party.
No, thanks for coming in.
No, it's important that you talk about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, this is a good opportunity to say, with all of us talking about crying, that if you go ahead and Fightful, Auntie Collins, one of our lovely people here at our local establishment, co-hosts a show with, I believe it's Kylie Fuller, if I'm correct. And they Wrestling Made Me Cry every Sunday afternoon. I think it's about 12, if I remember correctly, over on the Fightful Overbooked, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So definitely go ahead and give them a look out because I'm sure they're going to be talking about this match next Sunday, as I've already seen everybody talking about them crying. So, Astrid, thank you for joining us. I will see you Tuesday night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Does anybody else want to talk about the cash-in?
Not much more to add on the cash-in. I think Astrid said it beautifully, but I think we should quickly just acknowledge a few of the comments here that have been lingering. Like William saying Drew's brother tweeted out that their whole family left after the BS, and we're all giving the middle finger to the stadium. Absolute family of haters.
There's a fantastic tweet by Drew Galloway's brother where they're just all flipping off the stadium, and they're like, "We left after this bullshit." And I'll be honest, I was a little petty. In one of the groups that I'm in, I tweeted, I put underneath the tweet, "Don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you."
Dang.
We got Adultery saying Drew lost to being obsessed with CM Punk, just like he said to Seth for being obsessed with Cody's story. That's very true. They played on that very well. Does Drew losing tonight have anything to do with contract status? I don't believe so.
He is front and center behind Cody Rhodes on that poster for Scotland. I guarantee you he signed a new contract.
And SDG saying, feel like he's a transitional champion when referring to Damian Priest, but let's hope that isn't the case. But a lot of storylines being opened up now that these titles have changed. Barry saying Rhea and Damian Priest and Finn Balor all winning titles since they started working with Dominic Mr. Damn it, Barry.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jesus.
Absolutely.
Ed being petty. No,
I would never be petty.
I want to talk about Damian Priest, if we can, just for a couple of minutes. I worry for him. It's a great moment, and I don't want to shit on his moment. but I worry for him.
But you will.
Yeah. Because I worry for him. And also, Astrid annoyed me by getting rid of me, so now I'm going to shit on him. So this is Astrid's fault. Because when I watch him, I know, I'm trying. When I watch him, I look at him and go, he's good, but he's not world champion. And what I've seen for the past, since he's held that Money in the Bank, hasn't changed my mind. And so, is this the time now where they're going to use him to get? Well, Drew McIntyre's now main aim is going to be going for CM Punk. And CM Punk might not be back till SummerSlam, so he will try and go for it. But Damian Priest needs to work with someone. Now, I've thought of the perfect opponent, and I think we all know who that is. He got screwed over at WrestleMania.
No.
I'm not going where you think I'm going there, Edward. So I'm not going there. And I think we could be having like a Shield Part 2. I want Dominic Mysterio to turn his back on Damian Priest and go for that world title. And why would
we do that when we have a perfectly good Jey Uso?
No,
we have a perfectly good main event Jey Uso right there.
No, because I don't want to see. I want main event Jey Uso to be the one that could legitimately win the title. And what you're going to do is just put Jey Uso in the main event of the world champ when you know he's not got no chance of winning. Dominic Mysterio, you know he might lose, but that heel tactic, he might lose.
He will.
He might not.
He was my Wrestler of the Year last year, and I still say he's going to lose.
No. His dad screwed him over again in another WrestleMania. That dirty, stinking Mysterio screwed it. Stop trying to get rid of me, people.
I just listen to my co-host. She speaks, I listen.
But no, I worry. That's my main thing with Damian Priest. Is I hope he can do it, but there's just that lingering worry that I need to see something. I need to see that world champion in him.
Now,
I'm sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Like, I'm sure, that world champion, can be very much present. Even though it is, relatively early and you never can tell. Because something that I feel like we tend to do as wrestling fans, not accusing you of doing this, Mark, but sometimes as wrestling fans, we have a tendency to feel that the championship sort of makes the man and not the man make the championship. And I feel like Damian might be one of those world champions because, of course, the title is still relatively new. He might be one of those champions that might make the title means something more to him than it would mean in the traditional sense. So I feel like maybe, once we give him a chance and see what he does with it and who he fights for would be, I feel like once we give him that chance, it'll be a pretty good and substantial reign depending on how long it goes. Now, him versus Dominic would be a good wrinkle in things because Dominic was out here sort of playing advocate for Judgment Day and LWO, which fed into everything that happened last night. So if that's the case, that would be an interesting wrinkle in the Judgment Day sort of thing. Because at one point they were looking like they were sort of miscommunicating, and then they lost last night, and then Rhea won, and all the things. So it's just, and now Damian has won. So I feel like if they were to start beefing over that world title, that would be interesting. It would be a huge opportunity for Dominic, even though he probably would lose. But I do like that idea because it feeds more into that story. But I feel like we do still have to wait and see what Damian adds to the world title picture. And it might be his own thing, as opposed to having the title sort of make him into something that we're expecting him to be as like your regular champion type atypical thing. So yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. It's just one of those things when I see him in the ring, I want to see that the Damian. I need a switch. I think we talked about this the other day about Roxanne Perez, and there needs to be a switch. I need to see Damian Priest be venomous. I want him to go this title means a lot to me, and no one's going to take it from me. Like Seth Rollins did, the working champion, the way that he defended it as much as he can. But Seth did it clean. I want to see him, if he's not winning or he could be going down or something's happening, just get a weapon. Use the belt. Cheat, but do it in an angry fashion. That's what I want to see from Damian Priest now to go for it.
To talk about champions who people didn't believe in when they won the championship. Bret Hart. When he won that first world championship, people didn't believe he was big enough and strong enough to hold that world championship. Shawn Michaels was told that he was too small and was laughed at the idea that he could be a legitimate babyface world champion. Mick Foley. When Mick Foley won, remember, it's a line that nobody will ever forget. That'll put butts in seats when Mick Foley won the world championship in Worcester, Massachusetts. Edge. When Edge became the ultimate opportunist and cashed in the first Money in the Bank, nobody thought he was ready to be world champion. There have been a litany list of champions who we look at as definitive statements of what a champion is, who people looked at when they won their first world title and go, they're not this. They can't carry that title. And I think with Cody Rhodes at the helm, you don't need somebody who is definitively the champion. You need a guy who you believe in, who you think can carry that belt and do great work. Triple H trusts and believes in the work that Damian Priest can do. I'm excited to see what happens, because it's about time that we get away from having to have champions that we know are champions, like a Seth Rollins, like a Cody Rhodes, like a Roman Reigns, in giving an opportunity to guys like Ilya Dragunov, to give it an opportunity to guys like Gunther, to Sami Zayn, to Kevin Owens, to all these people who people don't think can carry a company, and go, here, you have 2 world championships. Cody's carrying one. Here's yours. Prove that you can do this. The World Heavyweight Championship we're talking about now, we're saying we've been talking about how great that match was and how everything came together for this wonderful story. Remember a year ago when we were talking about that being a consolation prize? Remember when that title came into existence and everybody was like, they created that because Roman Reigns can't be beat and they need a consolation prize on Raw.
Right.
And what did they do? They gave it to a guy who can just go out there and have banger after banger. And Seth Rollins went out there and he put the stamp of approval on that championship. And he said, this means something now.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They gave it to Drew, but they were never really going to give it to Drew. But they wanted him to have that moment. And they want to fuel the Punk story. And then they give it to Damian. Because now this title means something. So it gives Damian an edge. And now Damian has an extra bit of confidence to be able to go out there and kill it. And do the work that we all know he's capable of, that he knows he's capable of, and more importantly, that Triple H believes he's capable of.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on the cash-in and Damian Priest now being Senior World Heavyweight Champion?
Nothing more to add on my end.
No. What a time it is to be alive.
After all of that happened, we moved on to the fun portion of the evening. I mean, some of that was fun, but this is the real fun portion of the evening. The Street Profits and Bobby Lashley taking on the Final Testament. And the superpowers of the Final Testament to make everything go timeless Tony Storm and go black and white.
Yep.
Mark, your thoughts on the 6-person tag, the street fight with special guest referee Bully Ray, or Bubba Ray Dudley, as they called him tonight.
So I said on the pre-show, the preview show, sorry, that we had earlier on today, I said this is make or break for Karrion Kross. This will either show to me that Karrion Kross is someone that WWE can rely on. Are they going to put him in a WrestleMania match against Bobby Lashley, who never had one the year before, and put him over to try and build that group up? And at the end of the day, it showed to me that WWE have zero faith in Karrion Kross, and that they've just plonked him into that group to try and get AOP in. And as much as this was a good thing for Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, and Bobby Lashley, it does not help Karrion Kross whatsoever. I think this has done more damage to Karrion Kross's WWE career than everything that's happened before. And the worrying thing I have for Kross is what's going to happen next. He's had opportunity after opportunity to be on television, and every time he either screws it up or gets screwed up over it. And I worry for him now. I worry for, is he now just going to become the jobber? Is AOP now going to turn their back on Kross? Because in my opinion, I think that's what they need to do. AOP need to be off, and they need to have Paul Ellering to do what he needs to do with them to take them to that NXT level that Paul Ellering had them at, and push them forward and try and get away from Kross as quickly as possible. I still hate the fact that it's called Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They need to have a name. That annoys me. But Montez Ford again proved why he needs to have a singles run. Why this man needs a singles run, singles push. Put Bobby Lashley with Angelo Dawkins. Make them two become a tag team. Like the three-bird rule, or what the New Day did. That type of thing. Where let one of them go. Cody Rhodes versus Montez Ford has something that makes me extremely excited. Damian Priest versus Montez Ford. Excitement levels are rising. And today really, really showed that you can still have Angelo Dawkins there with him. He's improved so much, Angelo Dawkins. So much. But this is Montez Ford time. And they have to pull that. Doesn't have to win the title. Not saying win it. He needs to be main event solo, and it needs to happen soon.
Miss Stephanie.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match, for what it brought, because of course it was a street fight, and with that you have a whole lot of weapons and stuff that you thrown in there. But the thing that I enjoyed the most was Montez, but also I enjoyed the fact that BFAB and Scarlett got in on the action. And there have been times where I've been watching SmackDown and I've been hoping and chomping at the bit for BFAB to get in on some of the action the same way Scarlett will start interfering and stuff like that. So I'm just like, look, if both of these women can fight, why aren't we letting them fight with their separate thing while the men are also fighting too? And so when BFAB like crashed Scarlett through the table, I was really excited for her. And ever since she separated from Hit Row and now she has her own thing now, I've been wanting for her to have more of an opportunity. So I was glad she had that at WrestleMania. And I was thrilled for her. And I was just thrilled for Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits as a faction. They look amazing as a faction to me, but I have also been of the opinion that I felt that this was sort of a long way of keeping Montez from, going solo. And that's not to say that, and something that I can allude to is the fact that at Wale Mania here in Philly, they were talking to them about, what would happen if Montez were to go solo. And Angelo said that he would just support him, no matter what, because he's like, that's my brother, no matter what. And I'm interested in how that would play out on television. Like, how would Montez, go solo? Would he turn his back in a violent way, or would it just be like a New Day thing where Kofi saw where Biggie was trying to go and then he decided to take a step back and still support him, from the sidelines? or when they decided, to fight for Kofi to have his moment. Like, I just wonder how that would happen because Montez clearly is a star. Him and Bianca have their own reality show, which is like uber successful. He has the personality and the look and everything. He's improving like his entire presentation of how he's dressing and showing up to places. So why aren't we giving him, a singles run? And I would also say that Montez should definitely be, a champion at some point. I see world heavyweight, all of the above, because I'm here for black champions all day. So if he is going to have the full singles run, let's give him, the world heavyweight title. Let's give him a chance to fight a Cody Rhodes, like, and see what would happen. Like, that would be amazing. Like, it shouldn't be spaces of time where we have, so few black champions at a time. Like, no, like, we have the talent. Like, we have so much black talent now that we're swimming in it at this point. So give them the opportunities that you would give all the other people, and if Montez did that, I would be very, thrilled and pleased with that. He deserves to be more than just a tag team guy. So I enjoyed the match. I definitely enjoyed Bubba Ray being in it too, because that just brought me back to my childhood. I just wish Devon was there, but it was good, and I was glad that Bobby and the Street Profits and BFAB won.
Yeah, I mean, I on our preview show, I will say goodnight to Barry Monkey. Thank you for joining us in the UK.
Barry.
Go get some sleep. He also says that on WrestleMania Day 2, a third of the wrestlers and one of the referees were former TNA champions. So Barry is always supporting the TNA, so that's always great to see. I talked earlier on the preview shows today that we did with Tom Collieu about how much I want to see Montez Ford as a world champion. That I think he has everything he needs, and we've seen it for too long for him not to be wasted, but to be stuck in this tag team thing. I love Angelo Dawkins. I think he's great, but we saw on Montez and Bianca's show, Love in WWE, that Montez wants that singles run. He was so excited to get that opportunity to go into the Elimination Chamber last year, to go ahead and try to do what Bianca's doing. And we saw in that Angelo Dawkins is ready for this and will support his friend no matter what. I mean, cameras were there, so we never know if that's the truth, but I like to believe that the cameras are there, it's just what they think. It's what they believe. I would love to see Montez as world champion. We've got Logan Paul there. Why don't we take the title off Logan Paul and put that United States Championship on Montez Ford? Let's give him a trial run. Let's give him an opportunity to prove to us, to prove to the powers that be what we all already know, is that he's ready, he can do it, and he can do that grind. Because I guarantee you, that man in a suit with that championship going out to press events is going to do more for WWE than Logan Paul going to a Mike Tyson fight to watch his idiot brother get his ass kicked by Mike Tyson.
What's with all the Logan slander for? What's going on here, Ed? Come on, man.
It's not Logan slander. It's the fact that I love Montez Ford, and I want to see this man
take off that Sammy idiot.
No, Sammy's great.
No,
we need a good
Sammy idiot.
We need a good Canadian champion.
No, we don't.
We need a good Canadian champion. We haven't had that in a while. Bobby, speaking of Canadians, what do you think about Montez Ford in the six-man tag?
Well, as a boring Canadian wrestling fan, I absolutely despise gimmick matches to no end. No, I mean, it was fine. It was good. I think that there's a lot of star power on hand here. I don't think that the Philly street fight was needed. And maybe I'm just burnt out on it because MLW's been pandering to Philadelphia street fights over and over and over again a lot lately. So I've seen a lot of them. So I really did need it, knowing that the main event was going to be to the floor, street fighting, stuff like that. No rules. There was already
Bobby,
a lot of no rules, triple threat, no rules.
But Bobby, at least you didn't have to see Ricky Shane Page and Sammy Callahan.
You're right.
And
You're
Akira.
Right. There is a silver lining to it all when you don't have to see Sammy Callahan and crew on the show. Yes, I agree with you there. But No, it's fine. And again, like I'm a fan of everybody involved in this matchup. I think I want more for everybody involved in this matchup.
We're going to go ahead and move on to the next match, which was LA Knight.
Yeah.
Taking on
Yeah.
AJ Styles.
Yeah.
LA Knight and AJ Styles. I'll go first on this one. I thought it was an okay match. I wasn't floored by it. I didn't love it. I thought LA Knight and AJ worked pretty well together, but it didn't do anything for me. They kept talking about how LA Knight had this amazing year and how he's like this breakout star. And I'm like, can you really be a breakout star at 40 some odd years old when you've been in the wrestling business for the last 10 years and you've been in, WWE for 2.5? Is it really a breakout star? He had a good year and the crowd got behind him and the crowd still loves him. And I love that. I think that's great for him. But I don't think, I know this didn't do anything for me, but it was a serviceable match and it was good. It was a nice in between the fun of what I had a lot of fun with the 6-man tag and getting to the matches that were coming that I knew I was going to enjoy. The US title triple threat, Bayley versus Io, Cody and Roman. It was just like, all right, let's get through this. Let's get past this and get to the stuff I really want to enjoy. And I was surprised by that because I'm a big fan of AJ Styles and I really like LA Knight. I think he's got something going, but it didn't do the things. Mark?
So I said on the pre-show that this was LA Knight's time to prove to the powers that be, or to prove to people that he can change his style to fight in a championship type match. And today, for me, he did that. I thought this was LA Knight's best performance inside of the ring. AJ Styles helped that, and you could tell AJ Styles helped that with a lot. AJ Styles is still phenomenal, and pun intended. But LA Knight today proved to me that if you give that man a championship, he can go, and he could do it. And he can be breakout star. It doesn't matter about age. You got to talk about when he got left alone. When Triple H went, here's the keys, do something with it. And in that year, he, I think, surpassed everyone's expectations of what he could do. And it was the breakout time for him. That's my personal opinion. That's what I think of the situation with him. And to see him get his WrestleMania win and to see him do it, it was brilliant. And now I think WWE have a problem where they've now got loads of legitimate single competitors that can go after championships. Now, how are they going to do it? Now, LA Knight's won. I think he should win the US title at SummerSlam. I think that's the best place to have him to do it. I think him beating Logan Paul will be blowing the roof off the place, I think, or do it as soon as possible. But I think today proved that LA Knight can go in that ring, can sell as well, can do what he needs to do. And today was just his day for him going forward. I'm also very interested to really listen to AJ Styles' new theme. It was very more heavy metal than what I was expecting. And I'm looking forward to actually listening to that. But my opinion, I thought that was a great match. LA Knight come out on top, and good on him for it as well.
Bobby, what are your thoughts?
I have to agree with Mark. I like this one a whole lot. I thought that they worked great together. I think that it was nice to see, like, there was only technically a couple or a few throughout the whole weekend one-on-one matches that didn't have stipulations or rule bending or anything like that. So it's nice to have that break from the gimmick-like matches on WrestleMania as well, to have these true one-on-one battles take place. I like the way that both of these guys work. I like both their work. I was hoping that it would click and gel. It did for me. I liked the match. Thought it was great. Great way to play LA Knight over. AJ is going to probably do a lot more of this as he's winding down his time with the WWE. And that's what he's doing. He's giving the rub to somebody who's hot at the moment. And that's what you need to do. While the iron's hot, you need to strike. And that's what they're seeing. They're seeing the LA Knights fired has not burnt out at all. Like there was 70,000 plus people still getting in on the yes and still getting in on the whole thing. So they have to continue to do what they do, and they need to continue to push LA Knight in a way that the fans believe him to be legitimate, and that's what they've done here.
Miss Stephanie.
Yeah, I felt like this match was pretty good, and LA Knight is like one of those people who I just respect him so much because he just worked his way up and through and just did what he could even when he wasn't necessarily on a higher platform. And I feel like that's a part of his breakout success is the fact that on social media people found places where this man was and was working his way up, not even just in wrestling but also in Hollywood and in other like random, commercials and stuff like that. And then you have someone like him building himself to be a star and having a breakout moment like he did and fighting against someone like AJ, and he really did step up to the plate. And I'm just really like happy that he won this match because he's been somebody that I've been sort of like supporting and pushing, to get these big things for years, like a lot of people have. Like, and how everybody joined the yeah movement and how everybody just gets crunk for him and everything. Like, I'm one of those people because I just feel like he's just really cool and really, funny. But I want him to have, a bigger moment too. But I feel like him winning at WrestleMania against AJ Styles, someone who is just so decorated across the board in wrestling, is just a huge deal for him. So I am excited about that. And then I low key, it's so funny how you guys mention his age, and I just can't help but think about the story of DDP, and how he had his story from it was just on Biography Legends a couple weeks ago where he was talking about how he got started in wrestling relatively late in terms of, an athletic age. But I feel like in wrestling there really, as long as you take care of yourself, there really is no age limit for you. So, yeah, I feel like, he's in a good spot. And for him to have a breakout moment and for everybody to be feeling him the way that they are, it's just really amazing. He seems very authentic with the stuff that he puts out there and portrays about himself and some of the quotes that he makes from certain rap songs and everything. Like, he's just a really cool dude. And I'm just glad he had that moment and the match was good. So it was cool.
Yeah, and like I don't say, his age being in the 40s to be like a knock on him. It's funny when we hear people talking about breakout, years and breakout times for an athlete. And we're talking about LA Knight breaking out in his mid 40s after being here for 3 years. It's one of those things where it's like it doesn't quite jive for me. I'm excited for him. I think the guy's got a ton of charisma. The fans love him. And if you're hot and you got the fans behind you, I'm all for pushing people who have the people behind them. We can't get enough good people who the fans love in this business. So, I mean, the more of them we got, the better it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Speaking of people who are hot, we got Kevin Owens, we got Randall Keith Orton, and Astrid's favorite Puerto Rican superstar, Logan Paul.
Y'all gonna make her come back on here.
I'm probably gonna make her come back on here, but I always say that when I have talk about Logan Paul. But I want to let Miss Stephanie, you go ahead and lead this one. The triple threat match for the U.S. title.
Yeah, this one was good until the shenanigans. This match was good until the shenanigans because it was really funny to see how Kevin and how, well, first of all, let me go back. I love the continuity of story of how Sammy was holding the IC title and he was there for Kevin the same way Kevin was there for him last night. Like, that was really cool how they were there for each other in Gorilla, like just bigging each other up before he went out there. And then I love Kevin Owens' gear because it was a homage to ECW and that was amazing. And then just the fact that Kevin Owens and Randy Orton have a little bit of a friendship thing going on, and they had it going really well until a certain point where they're like, oh, wait, we can't both do the thing. We can't both cover him and be co-champions. No. Um, but other than that, like it was really solid. Like I feel like Randy Orton has reached another level within him that I just did not expect him to reach at this point of his career. But I really am excited for how he performed. And then, of course, you never can go wrong with Kevin Owens. But that dang Logan Paul, he's great in the ring, but he's just so crafty and he just has all these, you know, inner machinations that just try to like, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to do this and I'm going to use my influence and my friends to help me do this and, use the brass knuckles, which also got on my nerves a bit because I'm just like, referee, do you not see those giant gold things on his hand? Like he just wasn't catching it. But either way, like Logan Paul continues to impress me as an athlete. Like the things that he does, you would almost think that he's been wrestling for close to 15 years when he's only been wrestling for just 2, if not a little bit more than that. Like he's just really an amazing athlete, and it's just crazy because he's just so arrogant and so mean and he gets on your nerves a lot. But he really is good and he doesn't have to cheat, but he just likes to do it because he's just dirty like that. But, I was upset that he retained because I low-key wanted Kevin to get it back. But yeah, this is where we're at. It's Logan Paul time. Yeah.
I want to take a thing of this because I was just on Twitter, which is fantastic. And you know what? For once, Twitter's not a cesspool. This is the first night I've been able to surf Twitter and it's not a cesspool. There's just so many happy people on Twitter tonight. It's fantastic. But trying to explain to my mother who I Show Speed is was one of the most difficult conversations I've ever had around professional wrestling.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was either, so don't feel bad. It's okay.
No, I know who he is, but he's just trying to explain more than he's an idiot who does the dumbest shit possible on the internet, and people laugh at him. Wasn't enough.
He's a legend.
He's not a legend. He's a dumbass.
What does he do?
So he got very famous. So it was very much football. So he had a very football. He had this obsession with Cristiano Ronaldo, and he would go on his streams and talk about how much he loved Ronaldo, but he knew nothing about anything else to do with football/soccer. And he was just wacky out there. Completely different streamer than what you would normally get nowadays, where he would just talk, play games, try and learn out, and then he did a real life him learning how to play football properly, of how to do things, and him going from never to be able to kick a football to I think recently actually meeting Cristiano Ronaldo. It was very much like that they picked him as someone because he's crazy as anything, but he's also very, very humble when he was with his family, and people found the way he was. But he's a nutcase, and he's just a lunatic. But people love him because of that. And I've watched a few of his streams, and he is absolutely nutcase. But it's so funny that he's brilliant, and it was good to see that. And people will go, people will say, "Oh, blah 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 blah," but he loved it, and it was one of those things where you see a kid that just do streaming for a living, that didn't really know what to do, and now getting opportunities like this. I thought it was amazing to see, in my opinion.
I'll be honest, the only 2 things I've ever seen him do is he lit fireworks inside of his bedroom.
Yeah.
That was one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then he had to have somebody cut him out after he put a condom over his entire head and almost suffocated. Yeah.
Oh,
so
God.
those are the only 2 times I've ever seen this man. So he's a nutcase and he's a dum-dum, and I don't know why we had to have him here. What's wrong with KSI? Why couldn't we have KSI back?
You've had him already.
Wait, now I know who he is.
But I know who KSI is.
But you know who he is, but Speed now has an audience. And he has a targeted audience that WWE, like they got with Logan Paul, that they're targeting. And that is the internet. And that is he is one of the most watched streamers in the world.
Then why not put Ninja in there? He's one of the most watched streamers in the world, isn't he?
No, not anymore. Nowhere near. Fortnite was about 10 years ago. and the floss. But no, so because they'd go in for targeted today's audience, and I thought it was very clever on their behalf. I thought with WWE to get him and bring him in to do it. And I thought it was really good, in my opinion.
Mark, while you're talking, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the rest of your thoughts on this match, not iShow speed related.
No, so I thought this was very, very good, very, very cleverly done. I thought him trying to use those brass knuckles the way that he tried to use it before, very good storytelling. And I also think that I felt sorry for Logan Paul as well. Not only did he got beaten up for no reason, and he got beaten down for no reason, and the Philadelphia crowd chanting Gatorade when Prime is the superior bottle. Thank you very much. And I felt sorry for Logan. As soon as he won that match, he needed to go and have a bath, put his feet up, put some candles on, and just not turn up for a little while. He deserves a bit of a rest. And that Philadelphia crowd and all of those people booing him deserve. At one point, I wanted Roman Reigns to win because they annoyed me that much because of the way they were treating Logan Paul.
And we're done with Mark for a little while. Bobby, what about your thoughts on the triple threat match?
Well, that just happened. No, I said it in the show earlier today when we were previewing this thing that Logan Paul is not going anywhere in terms of that title. He was going to win by hook or by crook. He was going to take this victory so that he can walk out with that belt shining up as he walks down the aisle on a Netflix special as his brother goes in to get his ass handed to him by Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
A good match.
It was a fun match. I really enjoyed this. Kevin Owens almost killing Randy Orton with the golf cart, bringing him to the ring. I was really worried Randy wasn't going to lift his head and that KO was going to accidentally run into him, because like KO starts backing up at like good speed, and like Randy's like looking out at the crowd and like not looking in front of him, and Kevin's just coming, and I'm like, oh god, please make sure Randy turns, because if he doesn't. But no, I enjoyed this match. I thought this was one of the better matches on the card, to be honest with you. At this point, it was my match of the night. As much as I liked Seth versus Drew, this was more of a wrestling match as opposed to, video game finisher spam. And I really enjoyed the match that they had here, the story that they told. Randy getting caught trying to turn on Kevin Owens and the crowd chanting, "You fucked up." And Randy just going, ooh. Them going ahead and doing the backdrop thing. And I, it got me a chance to bring up the video of Randy almost killing Sunil Singh when he did that thing to Sunil when he was fighting against Jinder. It's just, Randy's so good at this. And I know Tom said he was worried about Logan Paul and Randy Orton's styles not meshing. I think those two had magic together in the ring when they were in there. There's something special about Logan Paul. He's a dickhead, and he's terrible, and he's awful in so many different ways. But he takes the wrestling thing serious. Him and Bad Bunny have shown us that and Pat McAfee have shown us that celebrities can take this stuff seriously, and it's not a problem. It's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful homage to celebrities just being able to come in here and kill it. And as much as I like to rag on people like Mark, and I'm just kidding. I love you, Mark. But as much as I love to rag on Logan Paul, I've got nothing respect for this man, because he doesn't work a full-time schedule, but he works way more than he should need to do. And he takes this stuff more seriously than some people who call themselves professional wrestlers. Like, there are people running wrestling promotions in other companies that I don't feel like take this shit as seriously as a celebrity who's doing this because it's fun and he has a good time. And for that, I give him all the praise in the world. That being said, like Dominic Mysterio, he has a punchable face, and I want to see him get punched every time he's on my screen.
What? Right. Now let's stop the hate on Dom and Logan Paul, please. Come on.
It's
Logan
not slander.
No, Logan Paul is a very beautiful man. And that's why
but
you want to punch him in the face.
Of course, I agree. You've not spoken any lies. You've not spoken any lies.
By the way, when you got rid of me and I went off for a little while, it's because I punched the desk because I was like, Ed White, and I broke the camera. I broke the setting of the camera, and I was like,
because I was worried. I was like, I was like, maybe I took the remove Mark thing too far.
No. I went, no, Ed, no, and then the camera just stopped working.
To let people behind the curtain a little bit, we did a show earlier where we picked on Mark about Gunther losing the Intercontinental title. And after the show, we talked about how much fun it was and how much fun Mark was having with it. That he enjoys this friendly back and forth. Yeah. And I was like, maybe moving Mark has become such a fan moment. I just worried that I might have taken the joke one too far, and I was glad to see that when he comes back and says, I did something stupid when you did that it's all about the love. Auntie Collins! Make sure you go check out Auntie Collins again. Auntie Collins has a great show called Wrestling Made Me Cry. Wrestling made all of us cry multiple times tonight. Yeah, we were all right there at the Edge returns at the Rumble debuts. So we're definitely at that point. So make sure you go check her out with Kylie Fuller on Fightful Overbooked every Sunday at 12 o'clock. They have a fantastic show that talks about the emotions of professional wrestling, and it's something that we need to normalize. Mm-hmm. Yes, I saw your Twitter that you were sobbing. I was hoping you were going to be here so we could just keep asking you every match what the cry meter was. Because for those that don't know, Auntie made the joke that she needs a cry meter on a Ramble, because she talks about how, sometimes some of the things that happen, get her choked up and things. So I jokingly told her that production would make her a cry meter. And then the next week, she'd asked, is it all set? And I went, crap, I need to actually make that now. But definitely go ahead and check.
Before we go any further, can we remove Astrid, please? Because she's giving me shit as well. Let's get her out of here. I've had enough of the shit.
Astrid's a boss, dude.
Astrid's the boss, man. Yeah. Astrid is the real final boss of our local establishment.
To be fair, she does scare me. So yeah.
Don't worry. She scares everybody. That's why we love her. She's adorable. We love her. 1, 2, 3, Astrid pose.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's do it.
All right. And speaking of Astrid, another moment that made Astrid cry, and the second time that we're going to have a Latino / Latina champion, as we have Bayley versus Io, and Bayley becomes the new Women's World Champion for a fourth championship for Bayley. Michael Cole having all the fun in this match. Miss Stephanie, can you go ahead and tell us what you thought about Bayley versus Io?
Yeah, I was just putting the 4s up because she's a 4-horsewoman. So
okay. There's that. Sorry, I apologize.
So no, it's okay. It just wound up to be perfectly. But yeah, this is just for the 4-horsewomen because I'll just always love them regardless. Yeah, I had the honor of being at the show where Bayley overheard Asuka, Kyrie, and Io talking about them because it was in my hometown. And just to watch that emotion pour out of Bayley after winning the Royal Rumble was just like, man, like this is really happening in front of our faces, like right here. And just the idea that she was talking about, the back and forth that she had with friendships and everything, and how everything fell apart with Damage Control. Like this is a group she created. Like she essentially kept them from, being sort of on the sidelines or whatever. And now they turn their back on her. So for Bayley to go on and win the Royal Rumble and have this match with Io, and to be able to watch both of their arsenals be, relatively different, because of course you have Io, who is from Japan. She's an amazing high flyer, and she moves relatively quick. And then you have Bayley, who can do mat work while also at the same time, beating you down, which is really cool. Like I really enjoyed this match. I feel like it's definitely one that belongs like sort of like in the upper echelon of women's wrestling. Like I really enjoyed this match, and from the storytelling perspective, it was really good because you had Bayley, sort of getting back to a little bit, sort of like a perfect marriage of her newer persona and her older persona of being the passionate, loving person that we know her to be, while also at the same time being the hard person and being cold and just getting business done and just being more confident. And I really enjoyed seeing that from her, and just, her standing on business and taking the title away from Io, because she was like, look, you took my friendship for granted, so now I'm going to take everything from you. And this was definitely on display in the match, and I enjoyed it and loved it so much. And I'm just so happy for Bayley having this moment. Like, she deserves it. And I feel like out of the four horsewomen, for some weird reason, she gets the least amount of, credit, or the least amount of like big ups for some reason. And I feel like she definitely, this moment, her winning the Royal Rumble and her winning the title also, it's just a good moment for her to rise into her power in a new way that we really haven't seen before. And I'm really excited about that. So I love the match.
Her entrance with the Egyptian theme and being carried to the ring. I'm wondering which of those four, and obviously NXT talents, is going to be a future world champion, because we always know if you appear carrying somebody to the ring, or there's some kind of special, faceless person on a WWE programming when it comes to WrestleMania, that these people are going to be top level talents. Triple H at WrestleMania, I believe it's 31, where he had Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Alexa Bliss helping him disrobe to go to the ring with the special attire. Obviously, Xavier Woods and some of the other NXT talent being the hands that were reaching up at The Undertaker for one of his special entrances. CM Punk being a gangster for John Cena in Chicago for one of his. I was disappointed that she couldn't get Paramore to come in because the dates didn't work to go ahead and play Simmer. But I love that she released a video made by fans or by herself. I don't know which one. Online. Earlier today, she'd released a video chronicling her story, and it was backdropped to Simmer by Paramore. So it was very cool to see that. I love Bayley. I think she is. I'll always love the Queen. The Queen is my favorite of the four horsewomen. I think she is just fantastic. But Bayley is special. Bayley is. Charlotte doesn't feel like one of us a lot of the time because she's Charlotte Flair. There's something special about the fact that she's a Flair. And she's born for this, and she's so good at it, and she does the things that she does. And that's fine. But Bayley's one of us. Bayley's a person who loves this business, who wrote, like we did, wrote stories about this business, who planned things like this to have opportunities to be headlining a headlining match at WrestleMania and to win a world championship. And to see her accomplish that on, if I heard Michael Cole correctly, her first solo match ever at WrestleMania, to accomplish that by winning the championship. It's so fantastic for her. This match was my match of the night. Roman and Cody live in a different world. That match doesn't qualify for match of the night. That thing's in its own little special place. But for the rest of the card, this was my match of the night. I thought Bayley did such good work. I thought Io, let's not forget to give Io her credit here. I think she was the perfect counterpoint for Bayley in this match, because the ability she has to flip out of things and to have the facial abilities that she has to show frustration, to show anger, to show fear. She's so often overlooked because, and I think this is a thing, that if people can't speak good English, sometimes they get overlooked. And Io Shirai says so much more with her body and her face than any person can say with their words. And I thought tonight she had such a great outing. the constantly stepping over Bayley to go do those multiple moonsaults when she didn't get it done with the first one. And she did it from a standing position. Then she stepped over Bayley and did it from the second rope. And then she stepped over Bayley and went back to the top rope and missed. And that leads to the finish. I just thought that was just so fantastic. This match was well booked. I really hope Tyson Kidd had a lot to do with this, because it felt like a match that Tyson Kidd would have produced and would have helped them with to make sure that they hit all the story beats that they needed to hit. Fantastic match. Match of the night. I loved it. Congratulations, Bayley. Bobby.
You know, in a weekend full of big matchups and a lot of stuff that had people talking, this stood out like a sore thumb. This was one of the most solid matches of the entire weekend. It was panned out beautifully. The moment was well put together. The storytelling was great. I'm a big fan of Io. Bayley deserved and needed this moment to happen. This was her time to shine. In that case, Io still got many, many years of wowing us with WrestleMania matchups going forward. So this was done beautifully, perfectly. And if it wasn't going to get the main event spot, at least they gave it the time and everything to go on second last. And it in no way, shape, or form was overshadowed by anything else on this card. This stood out, and it will be a staple of what we remember WrestleMania 44.
And also something else that I saw on Twitter. There was a fan chanting "Women can't wrestle" who was thrown out of the building.
Good.
Because so many people in this crowd complained that security escorted them from the building. And I'm so happy that we're living in a world where just because you bought a seat to WrestleMania doesn't mean you can be a complete asshole the entire night. And they got kicked out. That means the world to me, that we're moving on from what women's wrestling used to be. And in a weekend where we talk about Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano, with Bull Nakano going into the Hall of Fame, Bull Nakano was one of the first women's wrestlers I ever saw. And that woman scared the ever-living pits out of a young boy. Yeah. Like the face paint, the hair that went, 10 feet tall, like not understanding what professional wrestling was. That woman frightened me. And I've always loved her work. And it was so nice to see her go in and to have women's wrestling get the things it got tonight. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch opening up night one, having a banger match, even though Rhea Ripley apparently had a panic attack before she went out on stage. Becky Lynch having 102 fever and a strep throat before going out there. Io and Bayley somehow, some way not getting a main event slot on this show because one of the biggest stories in professional wrestling took its place. And rightfully so, kind of, sort of. Like, I think she still should have had a main event slot.
Night, Astrid.
Good night, Astrid.
Good night.
It's just so great to see the women getting so many opportunities, not to mention the 6-woman tag. Let's not forget Bianca, Jade, and Naomi getting their moment, and that moment being there with the rest of Damage Control. Having all of those women on. That's probably the most women that we've ever had on a WrestleMania card that didn't involve a battle royal event of some kind. And while it's not the step forward that it needs to be, it is still a step forward for women's wrestling to have 3 matches on a WrestleMania card. We need to do better, but it's a start.
Definitely a step forward to what Mick Wiggins saying with his first WrestleMania that he saw. The only women's match was a Playboy Bunny and Lumberjack tag match. So I'm glad we've come this far. And yes, no truer statement could be said. It's a long ways ahead of, where it was. And it's still a long ways to go. But at least we're going in the correct direction.
Mark, I believe you haven't had an opportunity to speak about Bayley and Io.
No, and I just... The people that produced this match was TJ Wilson and Molly Holly. I've just found it, and I put it in the private chat, so you could tell with that here as well. It's just the perfect story, wasn't it? Bayley deserved it. She stuck around when things were getting hard for her in WWE. She had that injury, and she wanted to do something when she come back that was different, and she brought NXT women with her when she started Damage Control. And she brought them to a level that are main eventers. They've now got Kyrie and Asuka to join with them as well. And it just goes to show that when the going gets tough, you don't give up and go away. You stay, you fight, you change, you do stuff. And for her to come out on top in this was perfect. Everything about the way that Bayley conducts herself and the way that she does it was the perfect champion now to move forward. And I'm really excited for her reign now as champion. I look forward to see what she's going to do. We know that it's going to be her versus Damage Control moving forward. That looks like the obvious moving forward, where she's going to have to take one member at a time of Damage Control away in matches for her title just to get rid of them. And it's just going to be interesting to see how long she can hold this for. Where does she go with it? Who's the next person to take over for it? Will it be Jade Cargill? Will it be Bianca? Will it be Naomi? Will it be Tiffany Stratton? Who knows? But that women's division on SmackDown with Bayley as champion is going to be amazing to watch. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does with it.
Anybody have any more lingering thoughts on anything that we've talked about as we've now reached basically the end of the show? Any lasting thoughts on WrestleMania as a whole?
Well, I have one thing that I do want to say. I do feel like this entire weekend has been, you know how Astrid was just on here talking about the representation of having Damian Priest as the first Puerto Rican champion in over like 50 years. Let me just say, this WrestleMania weekend has been one of the best in terms of representation for Black people as a whole. Black women and Black men were like interwoven throughout the entirety of NXT and WrestleMania, and that was really amazing for me to see people like, you know, Coco Jones, who just recently won some Grammys, singing, you know, a patriotic song. You have the War and Treaty, who've been on before for tribute to the troops, singing the patriotic song, and they're country artists, so that's just a really amazing thing to see there. And then with Bianca, Jade, and Naomi, and the Street Profits and Bobby and B-Fab. And then, of course, you have Trick and Carmelo being the first Black male main event in WrestleMania weekend history. Like, that type of, and also with others as well, like, that type of representation is just really beautiful. And seeing all of that take place in this big weekend has just been a blessing to me as a Black woman. And I will value that and cherish that for the rest of my life.
Couldn't have been said any better.
No.
The only thing I would add to that is, let's not forget about Obafemi.
Him too, exactly. Yes.
Oh, my favorite, Obafemi.
Our truth winning the tag gold.
Let's not talk about our truth today, because our truth got himself in a little bit of trouble today. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. But if we're going to talk about WrestleMania weekend, and there's a few things I want to talk about that. I'll get to the main one at the end, but just the roller coaster of emotions from every single match. Everything had something behind it. Everything felt right. Bar the Gunther match, but I'm going to stop going on about that now. Sami Zayn, I really hope you lose soon. So for me, it's very much now. The one thing I did find with WrestleMania this year, they really drummed home that this is Paul Levesque's WrestleMania. This is the new era in WWE. This is the Triple H era. We're going to experience the first Triple H Raw after Mania. We know that last year was an absolute terrible shit show, shall we say, because Vince McMahon come back and he wanted to deal with situations and made the whole situation harder than what it should have been. Now we get to experience now a guy that is loved not only in the locker room, but by the fans. What is he going to bring? What is he going to do? But my last thing I want to say as well is to the two people sat on the top. Now, to everyone watching at home, you guys know that there is a lot of shows that go on our local establishment. And one person above me going to absolutely hate what I'm about to say. And he's probably going to try and mute me. Bobby, stop him. Stop him from muting me. So, thank you. So, what I need you guys to do is to say a massive thank you to Ed, who has done about 7 shows, is it, in a week?
Yeah.
He's done about 7 shows in a week, giving you all the content that you guys need, doing all of the things with NXT, WrestleManias, everything. And Ed, you deserve. When we did the pre-show earlier, I think you woke up about 10 minutes before from doing it, 5 minutes before. And you do a fantastic job with what you do. Bobby, you do a fantastic, amazing job that you do with our local establishment. You guys deserve all of the praise. Stephanie, this is the first time I've met you, and I look forward to seeing all the stuff that you do in the future. You are amazing. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and I love it. And I really look forward to seeing all the stuff that you do. And this is probably the last show you guys are going to do for a little while. You can have a break. But Ed, Bobby, you've created a platform that people want to be on, and people want to talk, and people want to be a part of. Now, I know that, and you guys know how much. Well, Ed definitely doesn't because he hates it. But you guys know that I love you both. You guys are amazing. You guys are brilliant in what you guys do, and keep up with the great work. And WrestleMania is maybe done. OLE will carry on. The final boss will be back to destroy Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes' story is just happening. The Ring General will win a world title, and I will use my shit when he does. But Ed, Bobby, I love you both, and well done for everything you guys are doing.
Love you too, Mark.
Thank you very much.
And I'll just say it's not just the on-screen stuff too, like Ed behind the scenes with the organization, the thumbnails, everything, and everybody else from Astrid, Andre, Melball, and everybody behind the scenes in our local establishment that continues to put forth that hard work and, help us find amazing guests like Stephanie and, Amanda Savage, who was on the other day as well too. Just these amazing voices that we're having on the platform to share their love for what we all love. It's professional wrestling, and we want to hear everybody's views and everybody's thoughts on it and give opportunity for people to sit here and discuss openly pro wrestling like we love to do. So thank you to everybody.
I don't do the weepy stuff, so I'm just going to keep going.
I know. That's why I did it. I knew you wouldn't.
I'm going to go ahead and give Stephanie the big screen so that she can go ahead and talk about some of the things she did. But I just want to go ahead and read from her Twitter bio for a second here as to go ahead and talk about how wonderful this is. You are the host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. You are a contributor for Fan-Sided DDT. You are the color commentator for Belladonna Divas, I believe it's called.
Belladonna Division.
Oh, Division. Okay.
Yeah.
Battle Club Pro, Catch Magic, and Spartan Wrestling. You can find her and all of the fantastic things she does at the link tree that's been posted in all of the chats right here. It's on screen for those that are on Twitter. linktr.ee/Queen Stephanie Hardy. Talk about what you do, what we can expect when we go ahead and start watching more of your content for the people who haven't seen you before.
Well, of course, from my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, I talk about all the things I love from professional wrestling. I recap shows every week, or at least I try to do it every week. I also co-host a post show for WOW Women of Wrestling with Katrina from In Cat We Trust called Step and Cat Talk WOW. And I also do an extra episode whenever I talk about certain matches or certain moments in wrestling that I want to specifically put a highlight on. I also do shows there. So the entire Hardy Wrestling Podcast is a network, but either way, you can follow it on all the handles on the bottom and you can see what I'm doing there. I also do editorial work for Daily DDT. So my most recent article was about Mercedes Moné and how I feel like she should be the one to dethrone Athena on Ring of Honor. So please read that and all my other articles with Daily DDT. And I do color commentary work. So if you're you're looking for energetic and really, cool babyface color commentary work for your promotion, please book me, and you can DM me or email me at hardywrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. And I will definitely work out whatever scheduling that you might need as well. So please check that out. In my most recent episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast was a collaboration with the Jobber Tears podcast, Janelle from the HR, as we talked about the Four Horsewomen and their rivalries for Women's History Month. So check that episode out as well. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff. So just check me out.
Mark, go ahead and talk about what you do now that we've all been made to feel like we need to work a little bit harder after listening to all the things that Stephanie does. I feel like I need to do a little bit more work. You're muted, Mark.
Oh, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm losing my mind. What do I do? I've got 3 YouTube channels. I've got a football YouTube channel, Mark Talks Football, Mark Talks Wrestling, where I've got my WWE 2K24 series going out. My Rise, I've finished the Undisputed, now doing Unleashed. We'll be doing the showcase and then back to my 2K24 Universe mode with Bobby Munson and Lauren Goodnight, who are the GMs of MLW and AEW, while I am the general manager of WWE. I've got Mark Talks Gaming, where we've played Spider-Man 2, Fortnite. The series of Hogwarts Legacy comes to an end this week, and a new series that has just started on EAFC or FIFA, rebuilding Reading, but I have limitations on what I do as the player, plus other things as well. I don't do half as much as what Stephanie does, and I just linger around. You can follow me on the X, Twitter, down below. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, whereas TikTok. TikTok's the main thing that I normally do as well. I do love a good TikTok. So make sure you go and follow me on there as well. But yeah, I feel very much I don't do as much as Stephanie. She has made me feel very worthless, and I love it in every step of the way.
Not worthless. We just
No,
need to
I
work
really
harder. No. We're not worthless. You're worth something. You just need to work harder. We all.
Oh, you actually were nice to me there. We know it's the end of WrestleMania week. Event's nice to me. Woo!
Bobby Munson, what about you, buddy?
All right, that's my ticker down below is where you can follow me, whether it be on the X, Instagram, Threads, Twitch, Video Bro _ Bobby Munson. I am part of the commentary team on Prairie Pro Wrestling. Every Saturday, a new match comes out from us here in Western Canada, so check that out. Myself, Pop Smokes. You can also catch myself, Pop Smokes, Thursday nights, giving you Ring Respect Radio this Thursday night. We're going to be talking about Josh Barnett's Bloodsport as part of the theme of that evening. And then right back here next Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, for Point of View, where you guys get to talk about your favorite things in pop culture while I do some video gaming or some watch-alongs. So join me for that. It's going to be entertaining, and I'm happy I've been able to share all this weekend with all of you.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002, where I simulcast all the things that I do here at our local establishment, along with some gaming stuff. I will be having a new My GM series coming out with the man below me at some point in the near future. So go ahead and keep an eye out for that, as we're going to start recording some My GM for 2K24 to go ahead and get that series kicked up again. I also play a lot of Marvel Snap and things like that. So you never know what you're going to find when I'm gaming on there, but definitely go ahead and give that a look. Every Tuesday, you can find me with the wonderful, the natural Astrid Pizarro, as we talk all things NXT. Right after NXT ends, we go ahead and go live and recap what we've seen and what we want to see. And with the creation of the Women's North American Championship, I am very excited for the future of NXT as far as it goes with women's wrestling, because we've been saying it for months, and I will have a verbal discussion with anybody who wants to argue otherwise, that NXT has the deepest and most well-represented and well-televised women's division in all of North American professional wrestling. I really think that they do a kick-ass job of making sure that all kinds of women of all kinds of different representations and different skill levels are represented as best they can by telling stories that don't always involve a championship. They have 2 to 3 women's segments every week, and I cannot be more proud of that company for going even further with that by now giving us a women's mid-card division that I think is going to be something to rival any women's promotion. So I'm very excited for that. You can also catch me this Wednesday on Marvel Talk as me and Andre C get to go ahead and talk all things X-Men 97. We got the first 5 episodes we'll have, so we're going to split the season in 2. Talking about the first 5 episodes of X-Men 97. Michael Cole was dressed like Magneto last night. If you don't know, go ahead and watch the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97, and you'll definitely see what everybody was talking about online. We also talk. A Marvel Talk is an episodic show that we go through. We are in the midst of our MCU rebound, so we'll be back with that in a couple weeks. We just did the Avengers last week, so we will be on to Iron Man 3 next, if I remember correctly, on the MCU ordering. So we go back and we watch all of the MCU movies in order and go ahead and give a review since we weren't doing things then. And it's a nice way to look back while Marvel's having a down year where they're not doing a whole hell of a lot as we wait for Deadpool to come out. Whew. It's been a long weekend, but I want to thank my guests for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Stephanie, Mark, for all your hard work this weekend, filling in on some of these gaps and being here for these shows. We greatly appreciate you being here. We hope that we see more of you in the future. Miss Stephanie Hardy, I hope that we can find you some spots here every now and then, if you get a free moment every now and then, to go ahead and talk about other things, because I think you have a very interesting mind, and I love the conversations we had tonight. We may have gone 2 hours, but you know what? This show deserved it, because this year WrestleMania weekend killed it, man. Mm-hmm. WWE went out there and they showed that this is a new world. This is a new era. We are in the Paul Levesque era, and I can't be more excited for the future. As Ian Riccaboni will say, happy wrestling, folks. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.